Here are 20 things that you forgot about in Orion Drift. Starting off hot, during a dev talk about the mainframe and the future of Orion Drift's progression system, the graphics showed a few different in-game currencies. The first is Driftium, which we use in Spark supplies. It also showed hypercubes, which are used in the mainframe. But there was a third currency. The third currency was called Joules, but we later found out that the original plan for the Joules economy had unfortunately been scrapped, as we will most likely not be seeing Joules in-game for a very long time, if ever. The Parkour district has changed a lot in its lifetime, to the point of having an entire revamp and update dedicated to it. One little thing that was different from the start was there were no global kiosks to see every quest in the game. Instead, each questline had its own kiosk that you had to search for. This added a much greater exploration element to the game, but now we have quest speak and sonars to do it all for us. On top of that, quest boards used to be way different too. Each questline had its own quest board color, the most iconic being the red pro challenges and the purple master gym. Eventually, boards were updated to show your best time and the station's 4 most recent times. This next one is actually still in game, but unfortunately has been pretty much forgotten about. After the enormous hype for a new huge game mode in Orion Drift, Capture the Beacon had quite a sad lifespan. This is the Orion's take on Capture the Flag, where you can customize each game by changing the location of the beacons throughout the underskate. This idea sounds absolutely awesome, but unfortunately after a hot start, it kicked the can pretty shortly after. Scraprun has had many changes over its life, but one of, if not the most significant change it has undergone is it used to not always be open. It would only be open a few times a week for an hour at a time. And if you wanted to know what times it would be open, you'd have to either read the little Scraprun Discord announcements or listen to Gaia.
Attention all thrill seekers. Regular Scraprun events mean more chances to test your survival protocols. And you wouldn't want to disappoint Flux.
Underneath the Scraprun district used to lie one of Orion Drift's biggest mysteries. If you were able to locate all of the secret levers hidden under there, it would open a force field revealing the inside, where it was mysterious and dark. However, if you could navigate through the mystery, you'd be greeted with the Face room. On either side of the Driftball district, there used to be an underground Driftball complex, more commonly known as the Driflex. The Driflex used to be packed to the brim with extra 3v3 arenas that were almost never occupied, since the average player didn't even know it existed. This area was most commonly used for finding a quiet arena away from the noise of the rest of the district. In the way back of the old 3v3 Driftplex, there was an arena known as the Lab, and as the name suggests, the lab was used for experimentation. It was stripped out of all the normal 3v3 geometry to give a blank canvas for devs to build new arenas inside. You can actually see a very similar concept in Z-Drift, with the new Z-Drift lab introduced in the massive club revamp update. Before we had the high-tech Rainbow Road to effortlessly boost and carry us across the different districts around the Orion, we had the Way Rail. The Way Rail was simple, a floating ring that went all the way around the Orion to all the different districts, much like the Rainbow Road. But instead, you had to grab and hold on to the rail to zoom around. The Rainbow Road is objectively better, but the Way Rail had the added benefit of turning every drifter into a crash test dummy at every stop. When you want to feel absolutely terrible about your parkour skills by watching drifters contort their bodies in absolutely unhuman-like ways, perform a reverse double whammy fizz kick tassie like it's nothing, which fleet do you join?
Free runners?
Of course not, you uncultured homunculus swine.
Parkour. The Parkour Fleet was the original name for the fleet, but that begs the question, why in the world would you change the name for the fleet that fits it perfectly? Well, another Axiom requested the name change to avoid confusion with official parkour content, so like the true democracy that this game is, we got to vote. And unfortunately, we won't be running around the movement community fleet anytime soon. Sticking to the parkour theme, the most popular parkour activity in the game is easily the weekly parkour challenge. Nowadays, you can hop onto virtually any station in any fleet to complete the new parkour challenge. But it wasn't always that convenient. Back in the day, weekly parkour challenges used to only be found in parkour servers, bringing way more traffic to the otherwise quiet fleet. But if we go even further back, the weekly parkour was only in a single server, Parkour 11. Or maybe you forgot about the Dark Orion, which is the grandparent of all the mini Orion arrays and airy ships floating out in space. Before these many ships orbited around the Orion, we had the Dark Orion, a miniature Orion completely void of all detail and way out there in the distance. And any drifter brave enough to commit to flying out there was rewarded with a single level, allowing you to reach the max level. Through various skybox changes, the Dark Orion has been lost in space. The Driftball playground was not always the first thing you see when entering the Driftball district. In its place, there was once an arena more iconic than Arena Prime itself. Gateway Arena was the first impression that most players had on this game, where we watched our first game, where we played our first game, scored our first goal. Erasing Gateway Arena in the otherwise fan favorite mainframe update was a controversial change to say the least. But as time goes on, on, I truly believe the playground was a very beneficial addition to the game. Level Editor, also known as Draft, which stands for Deep Space Remote Assembly and Fabrication Tech, is one of the Orion's most sought after features, allowing drifters to play God and create whatever their CPU desires. While it looks amazingly polished now, it once looked like the bare bones of a video game's level editor, with textures featuring the infamous construction drifter. Spark certainly does an awesome job keeping and managing Deep Space's most popular shopping spot, so much so that he changed the entire layout completely in the past. The floors were open with way less drifter customizers, but it featured giant displays for each in-game bundle. Community fleets host events every single day. Creators versus drifters happens every once in a while, but there was once a type of event where you could play with Orion Drift's own developers. Devs versus drifters used to happen semi-regularly, and if you were lucky enough to get into one of these servers, you had the rare opportunity to take on the developers of this very game in a battle of driftball. Unfortunately, like many good things, this came to an end, and we haven't seen DVD in a very long time. Various tag game modes, especially Freerunner's Tag, have taken Orion Drift's community by storm in the last few months. But before that, we did have a secret tag arena for a long time. It was tucked away in the nooks and crannies of the Orion. At the top of this pillar, you could slip in this crack to reveal a World Chase Tag style tag arena. One of Orion Drift's most beloved characters. If you were lucky enough to experience the wrath of Big Boss, you know just how fun it truly was. Big Boss was a giant drift ball many times the size of a normal ball. You could find Big Boss floating in outer space under the Orion, and if you could successfully carry it back up to the Orion, you were in for a great time. See you on the Orion, drifters!